Now we got Mr. Don Briggs, who heads up Louisiana Oil and Gas Association. Don, how you doing?
I'm fine, man. How about yourself?
Well, Don, I was doing good till I read that you cut your deal with the governor, so you for the tax. You've made sure your people are taken care of, so you for the tax. And I said, my God, everybody's going to get their deals and move around. Explain why you're happy I'm going to be taxed, but I should be happy you're not. I'm just reading what was there, Don. I'm just reading what was there.
I know you're reading it. Look, when all this came about,
yes, sir,
and we're sitting there and we're going through the committee, looking at all the exemptions. As you know, there's a committee, the joint committee between the House and Senate, looked at all the different exemptions that everybody had. So we went through a very extensive amount of work just looking at all the exemptions that we in the industry have. I mean, and I say a lot of them is we only have 23 different exemptions, and which ones of those are good, which ones are bad. So we had a lot of time to work on all those things. And so when the governor came out with this plan, and everything's on the table, and so we stepped back and said, okay, how do we participate in this? Sometimes it's a lot better to be a part of the solution than it is, than being on the other side of it. And so we said, well, let's take a look at it. So we got us a Texas accounting firm that does tax work in Louisiana and does tax work in Texas. We laid our wells side by side, a well on one side of the border and a well on the other side of the border. Then we applied taxes to both of them. We applied taxes the way they are today, and then if we add Jindal's plan, what exactly does that look like? What we think was Jindal's plan, and so because we want to see if we're competitive.
But Don, but Don, there's no plan. There's no bill number.
No.
Do you have access to the plan? Because if you do, brother, show it to all of us, because we all want to look at it. And by the way, and my disappointment with you, and I'm just going to tell you honestly, and I said on that yesterday, was that you basically said in the paper, hey, we don't have to pay the sales tax on services, so yeah, we like it. I mean, that was your comments, not mine.
No, well, the fact that what sales tax on services, okay, is a very big thing for our industry. And that would be, those kind of services would be all services that after you've completed a well and all the compression and all the different equipment, re-entries, well bores, all those different things, helicopter, all that stuff would be taxable.
But Don, think about it though. I know, and by the way, I agree with you. There's no argument here. But when you talk to the architecture or the engineer or somebody cutting grass or somebody doing a hair, they can make the same argument with you. Maybe they don't employ as many people, but they're going to be affected by it, and you won't. And your comment was, hey, we cut our deal. Basically, and if I read that wrong, then fuss at me. You basically say, hey, we cut our deal, we happy.
You're reading it wrong, because that means you're interpreting it that way, that I cut my deal. I didn't cut a deal.
But what did you do?
Well, we went in and looked at ourselves and how we can make this thing revenue neutral across the board, and that's what we did. We provided a lot of upfront money for the governor and for his plan, because he needed upfront money to help pay for this.
To pay for what?
We spread our tax burden back through the years. Okay, so that way everybody comes out all right. And so what we're trying to do is keep ourselves revenue neutral rather than to have a tax on us. So
but Don, here's the thing, and I'm a big supporter of anything in the oil and gas industry. I think it's the greatest business to be in. I think it's done more for our country than any one business you can name, with the exception of maybe toilet paper. And I'm not being ugly, I'm being honest. But the fact is though, Don, it seems like you looked at it as revenue neutral because you got a deal cut. Well, if you're not paying any extra taxes, and you don't have any extra sales taxes in your business, it's a great deal for you. But I'm telling you, there are winners and losers in this. You become a winner because you said we cut our deal. This is your words, Mr. Briggs, not mine. I don't know how the radio people and advertisement, they're looking at taxing production in radio business and TV and all that stuff, and we're going, wow, we're going to have to charge this. How's this going to come out of our pocket? But we hadn't cut our deal yet. And that's why I'm upset with you.
We cut a deal. I think we reached a compromise by looking at all aspects of this plan and laying it out so that we can help the industry, help the state of Louisiana, because the plan that we have and the way we structured it, it's going to be good for Louisiana. It's going to create jobs. It's going to create more drilling activity. Some parts of it we really don't like. Okay.
Well, how
but
come
other parts of it we do like?
You're on the totally opposite side of Lobby and Dan Juno and them, who overall they got to look at every business. They can't look at just your business. They're looking at this thing going. The governor told them $400 million. Then it came out $500 million. He thinks it's going to be a lot bigger than that. But for the rest of the businesses, they get crushed. But you cut your deal. Let me ask you a question. You mentioned y'all gave money to Jindal. What do you mean by that? You said earlier. You said we gave money to Jindal.
No, well, I love the way you turn things around.
No, you said that. I didn't say it.
Oh, I know, but I didn't give money to Jindal. What Jindal needed was upfront money to help fund a lot of these changes. So we took, for instance, on lateral drilling. Okay, wells that we get an exemption. Okay, in North Louisiana, today we drill a Haynesville shell for $12 million, and we get a 2-year severance tax exemption or payout, whatever comes first. Mm-hmm. Okay? 2-year payout, or an exemption for whatever comes first. Now, what we're doing, we're taking a 40% severance tax exemption and spreading it over 7 years. That allows the Jindal administration to get more revenue up front because they're going to be getting that 60%, okay, for those first several years that are really big producing years. So that allows them income that they do not get today. Okay? Now, we get our money on the backside value of money.
So what you're telling me is the governor's going to get money to help balance the budget up front, and that's how y'all helping him to make him look good on something that may be a good deal, may not.
I'm not trying to make him look good. All we're trying to do is find some resolve that we can live with that works with our numbers.
But if all the businesses get exempt, then how do they produce the revenue? I'm trying to figure out. Don, the problem with the whole thing is there's no plan yet. People are cutting deals, and there's no real plan.
We haven't seen a plan either.
I'm admitting I didn't see the plan. That's why I'm not jumping up and down, but I'm only going by what the general administration is saying, that businesses are going to be hit with $500 million, but you've cut your deal. Look, Don, I got to go. You're welcome anytime you want to, and people would like to know the next time, are you going to support Landrew again? And that's another question for another day, Don.
All fence maker.
Fence maker's probably going to support it too. All right, we got to take a break. We'll get out of here. Your call.